So we were working to accentuate the positives, if you were, for the Trump news today or going into the weekend. Here's a not so eliminating the negative that we could not get rid of because of the Gulf of America thing and the recognizing of that. Now, many folks, many agencies, many companies, including Google, went straight to the recognize it because Donald Trump is Donald Trump, U.S. is U.S. Mexico, who the Gulf is actually named after, technically, didn't quite like that, so they're taking it the Wapner route. They're going to court. Mexico has sued Google in the controversial Gulf of America label change. Happening on Friday, going into the weekend, Mexico filed a civil lawsuit against Google over its decision to label the Gulf of Mexico as Gulf of America for U.S. users of Google Maps. Now, here's the kicker. Only the U.S. users basically get it. Everyone else gets the real original Coke. Only U.S. users get the new Coke. But the change is still something that Mexico is not quite happy with, based on executive order by U.S. President Donald Trump to say, we're now calling the Gulf of America because we're awesome. Paraphrasing, if you will. The Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum criticized that whole move, asserting that the renaming of oversteps the U.S. jurisdiction and affects international waters shared with Mexico and Cuba because other people use it and call it other things. The policy applies to local naming conventions based on user location. The users see Gulf of America in U.S. Mexican users see Gulf of Mexico, and the users elsewhere will see both names. Make sense? No. The diplomatic protests from Mexico, Google maintained its stance regardless, adhering to the official government sources. So, House of Representatives actually passed a law to officially name it Gulf of America, not just deal with the executive order. To codify it for our maps, at least, legislation has gone to the Senate where they'll probably forget about it because they seem to do that. But this was a big deal by Marjorie Taylor Greene. She'll come up in just a moment again to kind of codify herself as someone in Congress getting things done, supporting the Trump agenda, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But the naming dispute has sparked debates over sovereignty and influence on digital platforms and shaping public perceptions. This is something that's not so much a new thing because in various places where there are disputes on things, Google and their map systems and other map systems have been in the middle of this for a while. Things out in the middle of the desert, if you will, that many people will say, no, this land belongs to us. No, this land belongs to us. A lot of Russian territory, which is up for grabs. And a long time, the Crimea issue area in Ukraine, which was annexed by Russia, where they took a while to figure out what to call it right now. And of course, what may happen once the Ukraine war is over, what lands will take in there, who's going to claim what lands. This is something that, because it takes forever to print out a map that no one uses anymore, but takes mere moments to hit a button for digital maps that most people are using, is a big deal in when you're naming things, because if you think it should be named something and you have a right to that name, you may be upset if some other entity is claiming the name.